Damn it, Oni. Yes, we're starting soon. Hang on, give me a second. I want you to know all the chaos you caused with the "oh, you pooping" stuff. The poop counter is out of control. I'll be sitting on stream and people will just hit it. Like, damn it, guys, I'm right here. I've been sitting here talking, and nobody said a damn thing. There's a whole sound for this, which y'all abuse every stream.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
And nobody said a freaking word. You're killing me, boys. Hey, Axia, what's up, dude? Happy Saturday. All right, anyway, back to what I was saying, which I don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. So, last time we were working on HackBot, we were working on this browser agent. So, in theory, what this should let us do is it'll let the exploitation agent actually, or any of the other tools, but really it'll allow it to go and hit the website and look at things. So, the problem was the container we were running seemed to be pretty craptacular. So we might need to see about getting a little bit more robust container. Actually, I need to check how much memory we're using on this box. Let's see. What do we got going on here? We should be good right now, actually. We're only using 8 gigs of memory. So. And most of that's PyCharm. Good lord. PyCharm's a chunky boy. Let's do a little sanity check here. Yeah, so we're only using 9 gigs, so we're good on memory here. Clown, yeah, that was going to be our test case for this one. Could it get to clownstrike.lol? That's my new test page. Anytime I need to test something, if it's working in a browser, that's what I've been testing. Let me close that. Don't need the enum agent. Move you over here so I know exactly where you're at. No, come back. There we go. So this should have been a real simple run here, where it basically came in and it should have browsed to it and checked on it. Let's go actually double check that Docker container is actually running. Let's see. Mythic is still up. I want to go shut that down. Did I put that in off? Yeah, there it is. Let's go get over to that. I just got out of the cold tub, and so my fingers are still cold. I'm having a hard time typing. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Mythic, CLI. I forget what the command is, actually. I think it's just stop. Yeah. I'm going to shut down Mythic for the time being. They 100% deserved that site. Yeah, dude, they kind of did. And hey, who says that an emergency can't provoke innovation acceleration? So Microsoft, if you're not aware of this, they're going to start moving a lot of the early hooking drivers out of the Windows kernel and move them into a different spot name. So specifically something like the ClownStrike event cannot happen again. And it's funny too, because CrowdStrike is actually a really, really good EDR. They messed up one time and it caused a massive global outage. Remember when we used to have like actual viruses to do that? Now it's just the antivirus that does it. It's like either Google or Cloudflare or AWS or CrowdStrike or SentinelOne. If any of those 5 things ever went offline, the entire internet just kind of like grinds to a halt. Something taking down 70% of the internet overnight. Yeah, right. I love that the fix was reboot like 15 times. Nice, Axia. What did you get, dude? I actually busted out my old hashcracker rig that we called Baby Thulu. So at my last job, our hashcracker was we named him Cthulhu, the destroyer of hashes. And I had a smaller version that we called Baby Thulu. And I actually just busted it out to try and do some local AI workloads, but I need to update a little bit of the hardware in them because it's still running 1080 Ti cards. So it's on the GTX series, it's not even on the RTX, and it doesn't support a lot of like what you need for modern PyTorch and stuff like that. Should have named it Dragon, a lower monster from Cthulhu. I like Baby Cthulhu. And what's even funnier is another coworker, previous coworker of mine, he's building his own right now, and he's calling him Medium Cthulhu, which cracked me up. Let's see here. It's my browser. Okay, Docker container or browser use agent. Let's see if we can find see if anybody has a recommendation on a container we can use, because I think the one we were using. Let's see here. So the one we were using was just Chrome DP headless shell in here. There might be a better one that we could actually work with. Liquid cooled with an with a Core 9 Ultra, nice. RTX 5090, terabyte M2 NVMe, nice. So much bandwidth on those. 32 gigs of RAM, and I don't know what that last bit is. The DS996. Hey, Future Ego, thanks for coming online, brother. Welcome in. Happy Hacking Saturday. So I don't know if this headless Chrome one is just having a bad time or what, but let's see. Let's see if we can find maybe a little bit more robust Docker container, because what we might actually need is... Actually, hold on. Here's one from the folks at Selenium. They would know something about this. Let's see what they're thinking here. Enables you to run the WebDriver test remotely. Oh, I think this is... Oh, okay, so this is a standalone with Chrome in it. So this is actually, I think, theirs. Actually, a good way to find out is if you go to the tags, and let's go to the latest tag here. Any of these will work. But if you look at how the Docker file was put together, which basically is the image layers, every line in the Docker file gives you an image layer. You can get an idea of what it's actually doing. And I recommend before you go download anything from Docker Hub, you go check the tags and you read through this. Because you'll see this stuff like add file ... in root. This means it's adding files over to it. Or if you see like a copy command, so many args, dude. Yeah, I have a couple of spare RTX 30. I have a spare 3060 and 3070. Don't ask me how I got them, but I've got them. And the streaming rig right here has a 3060 in it. So what I'm thinking is I'll take the 3070 and I'll swap it into this computer. And then that pair of 3060s will actually go into Baby Cthulhu. But I need to increase his RAM too, because he's only got 16 gigs of RAM. And so some of the AI workloads I want to mess with will use the CPU and onboard RAM. So I need to probably bump up to 64. Looks like this should work. However, the issue we were running across last time when we ran this was I believe it was crapping out on us whenever we ran this. There's our headless Chrome up here. Oh, that's right, because we were running this as, I think, a Docker Compose. Was that it? Let me go ahead and just bust out of this real quick. Yeah, there's our Docker Compose right there, which just sets up our headless Chrome, just like that. We are running it headless, which we need to run it as headless right now because this Docker container doesn't have a desktop environment. So one of the other options is we could make a chunkier container. We could get something that actually has like X11 and all that, and we could run it as non-headless. That would be one option. I really want to try the headless route though. 80. Oops. Let me try running this again. Those 5090s, I think they should have 32 gigs of VRAM. I wish I could get my hand on a couple 4090s. However, they're still stupid expensive. They're like $1,700. Like, dang, man. Hey, Stargate 1. Awesome show. And also, thank you for coming online. Welcome in. That was... Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. I actually backgrounded that process. Let's see if let's run this test case again real quick. Let's go see if we can actually just go get this information out of here. So we set up our agent, we pass in the language model. Browser session is... This should be where our actual Chrome DevTools protocol URL sits. Just go run this real fast. See what it does. If I was just gaming, yeah, the 5060, 16 gigs of VRAM would be just fine. This one is a 3060 with 12, and even then, for every game I want to play, it runs just fine. I think, yeah, pretty much everything I want to run on it, it's fine. But for doing some of the AI workloads, the two 3060 cards in there would give me a total of 24 gigs of VRAM, which is kind of like the floor for some of these larger loads you want to run. A couple of tests I've been doing on the 3060, they will run in there, but I'm pegging out my VRAM and I'm pegging out the onboard RAM on this computer. This computer only got 32 gigs on it. So I'm having to shut down a lot of stuff and like strip it down, and it still takes a long time to run. I wanted a 4090, but yeah, that's why I said screw it. For the AI lab stuff, I'll just go with the 5090. You might as well. I mean, there's not that much of a price difference, I think, between the 4090s and the 50s. Yeah, and see, I wish I could just get a card that didn't even have as great performance. Okay, cool. It says it finished. Let's go look at the trace on this, because we should have one over in here. See here. Oh, there you go. It's running. So we should have had. What did we get here? Oh, see, this is what I hate. So one of the downsides. I'll be interested to see what happens with browser use. So backstory from last week. I decided to use browser use agent because it looked like it was using LangChain and LangGraph under the hood, which would mean that if we run this as part of the graph, in theory, we would get all this stuff kind of in there together. Right now, when we see this, it's actually not. It previously was using LangChain and LangGraph under the hood. Instead, now it's become a little bit more agnostic. It just gives the appearance of having used LangChain and LangGraph. So we get these runnable sequences because it's not doing things in the traditional LangGraph way, or LangChain. It's just kind of put them together. But we can still see kind of what it's doing here. So like as I click through these, you see it's not really changing. Maybe I'm just clicking too fast, but it is kind of coming in. Let's see. Let's see. So first thing it does, it always checks for like, what's the capital of France? It's so annoying. I went through and I was reading some of the code on this. What it's doing is it's trying to see what's the proper tool calling convention. And I wish there was a way where I could say, hey, the tool calling convention is X. Stop asking what the capital of France is. See, it's still asking. It asked like 3 or 4 times, what's the capital of France? It's annoying. So it does like 3 different checks on it. Anyway. All right, so let's take a look at what it does here. Here's an example of the output for the tool call. You can use the reference, but do not copy exactly. See, where's our instruction actually come in at? I mean, one of the good things about this is it should actually handle all of our... That's a really long system prompt. Check that sucker out. Beefy. Oh, so it's down here in the, so in this runnable sequence. Oh, see. So there's all of our input. AI output comes back. We have another human input. Ah, this is awesome. Memory. I need to navigate to clownstrike.lol. Awesome. Open source tool from Bassi. I saw you on Discord talking about Bassi, but I hadn't seen this one. Let's see. Oh, this is the computer use agent, which actually may come in very handy in the future, because eventually I do want to incorporate Windows tooling into this. And so we actually will need like a computer use agent. So we'll maybe have like a Windows computer set up. Let's see. The computer use agent from Anthropic. Project demonstrates how to leverage Claude's natural language understanding and generation capabilities to create AI-assisted customer support systems with access to a knowledge base. Nice. Let's go look at the demo real quick. Computer use is a beta feature. Sorry, we only use alpha features here. Hold on, before I start getting into the demo, let me look at, let's see, general steps. Go to the quick start repository, install our dependencies, set up your Anthropic API key, which is handy because currently we are using Anthropic. Eventually, though, I have to take a look at this because eventually I did want to make it to where you could have different models come slot into here. Maybe even use OpenRouter so that if you wanted to do that. The downside is some of those models you can run in OpenRouter don't necessarily support tool calling effectively. It'll be quick. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I was thinking of something like this, Axio, for in the future, having Windows workloads be able to, or Windows tools be able to be run. And I thought that might be a simple way for HackBot to go interface with a Windows computer and be able to get some stuff set up. Like, for example, if we needed to, I'm trying to think, because there are times when you might want to go proxy in things. Like, for example, Microsoft Management Console. One of the things I'll do when I'm on an assessment is something like this. Let me clear this out and bring it up. I was scrambling to try and get everything set up because I was doing the cold tub just before the stream. All right. So, for example, a typical engagement when I'm doing something might kind of look like this. So let's say over here, this is the client environment. Dude, can't write. There you go. So there's the client environment, right? And so let's say we have a seated workstation over here. So some computer we've got access to. And under this, it's running our little C2 agent. And our little C2 agent is calling back over to Mythic. So this is a very common like setup. And usually what I'll do is I'll have two workstations over here. I'll have me a Linux workstation and I'll have a Windows workstation. And so these guys will all be connected over to Mythic as well. So a lot of times what can happen is I'll be over here on this computer and I might steal some Kerberos keys. I get hold of them. What I'll do is actually I'll come over to, from Windows, we'll do a run as, and then we'll spawn something like PowerShell in here. And then that PowerShell, what we'll do is we'll actually proxy this. I'll do this in green. This PowerShell will actually be proxied up to Mythic and then down back into the seated host. And then eventually from there out to the rest of the domain. So why would I do this? Because what this lets me do is it lets me run any, it'll let me run any local tools, Windows management tools from this Windows machine in the context of whatever the user credentials or Kerberos tickets that I stole. And then I can go use those to access assets in the domain. So for example, I could run MMC over here if I wanted to use like Event Viewer, which is also in MMC. But anyway, any of the, like your typical Windows management toolkits, I can proxy those over into the environment. And then I'm running them locally. The traffic looks legit. If they were doing network level inspection, it would look like, oh, okay, this is just MMC talking over here. It might look odd that it's coming from this computer, but the protocols, the interactions, the IOCs are just, hey, these are typical Windows management tools. They'd have to correlate it as, oh, by the way, we shouldn't see this activity coming from this host, which most environments aren't that robust, unfortunately. But this is what I usually like to do. So I wanted to have something similar to this setup where if we had a Windows box, let's say this Linux system is running HackBot, that we could actually talk to the Windows machine and be able to do things like this. This would be a fairly chunky workflow to kind of set up. And it would probably be a little bit more deterministic and less on the AI side. Like, okay, here's exactly what you do. You do run as. You then run PowerShell, and then you inject the Kerberos ticket using Rubius, and then you go run MMC. And then it would probably get handed off to something like the AI agent to take screenshots, interact, find out where to click on the desktop, stuff like that. So that is like way down the line, right? First thing we got to do is we got to finish the 4 primary agents. But this is something I was thinking about in the future, like how I would want to do this. And believe it or not, I actually ran across something like this on an assessment. And it's doing this method with MMC is actually what saved us, because there was a flaw in a system. It allowed us to get access to it. However, we could not access that system directly, and we could not figure out why. After doing a bunch of testing, we finally realized that system was actually part of a Windows failover cluster. So it was really weird. And so a lot of the tools we would run in Linux, like any of the in-packet tools, they were just absolutely falling on their face. We come over and I do it with MMC. It was slow as all get out, but it was working. And we were able to use that to do administrative tasks on that cluster and then get access to it. So it was really wild. It was a lot of fun. All about living off the land, man. Let me go start this real quick. Let's throw this over into AI and ML Security. You can feed this TTP into a custom red team GPT and look for more efficient or effective competitive alternatives. Could do that. Part of the reason why I wanted to get Baby Thulu up and running is potentially to try and do some fine tuning on some systems. Let's see. It'll take me some time, so I gotta do hardware work. All right, let's see here. Why did it do the capital of France again? Hold on, was this from today? Let me see something. Oh no, those are from last time. Here we go. This is what I want. Because these two were the ones that were running here. So we did, what is capital of France? We got that. And then it actually did go through. Let's see. Agent said I have successfully navigated to GitHub/Explore, and you can see the page loaded with a list of features in the repository. What? Who was saying go to GitHub Explore? What the heck? What happened here? Why is it... Oh, I know why. Because I think some of the files it was writing to the container might have been in there. This is wild, though. Why did it say all of this stuff about GitHub? So data was written to do. Let me go check something. Let's go look at something for the browser use agent here. Where did it write that? In theory, it would be in here. Where did it write that to-do file? I mean, did it write it and then deuce it out? Cybermind, what's up, man? Welcome in. Yeah, UD, I remember you, man. Welcome in. I guess for you it's Sunday, so happy Sunday. Let's see. Let's see if we can do a little bit of reading on how this browser use agents actually function. Let's see. Good, I saved that. That's going to be something we want. What's the actual execution flow of the browser use agent? It could also potentially be over in the Docker container. I don't see how, though. This is such a cool demo right here. What was this prompt? Write a letter in Google Docs to my papa, thanking him for everything, and save the document as a PDF. Oh, that's pretty sick. Look up the model with a license of this and sort by likes on Hugging Face. Save the top 5 files. Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. Especially since I've been doing a lot of work on Hugging Face right now. Let's see. Where's it actually? I'm trying to see some of the documentation, like where it's actually doing stuff. Do they have the wiki up here? Or is it everything over in the GitHub? Or over in their Discord? Try our hosted version for instant browser automation. I do want to try that. However, I need it to not... Oh, there we go. There's our documentation. Let's see. You can launch a local browser connect using CDP or WSS. What is WSS? Secure socket? Headless browsers can use the WSS protocol. That's okay. Yeah, that's probably WebSocket. Interesting. I wonder if that would be... Which one's more effective? The WSS versus Chrome Dev. Let's see that. It's not a customer data. Ah, okay. Chrome Dev Tools protocol. WebDriver, on the other hand, is standard. CDP utilizes WSS for communication between the client and the browser. Okay. But I think I was just planning on using Chrome, so I think we'll be good with that. Let's see. Method D, connect to a remote Playwright Node.js browser. So in this case, we're using it with CDP URL. We might be able to... That's if we had a Playwright server set up, but I don't think we actually need Playwright. Let's see. I don't have any recommendations for Docker and Google. Let's see, so whether enable the Chromium sandbox, which is recommended for security, should also be false when running inside Docker because Docker provides its own sandboxing, which we should have that already set up. I believe actually we set that up whenever we ran here. Yeah, we told it disable GPU headless. Actually, no, we didn't disable sandboxing, did we? No, it did. It was actually built in as part of the, like, kind of like standard execute in here. We've already got that going. Let's see here. Actually, I'm curious, what models do they support? Let's see. OpenAI, Anthropic, Azure OpenAI, Gemini, and Grok. Also, by the way, there was an update for Claude. They now have Claude 4.0, but I think for now I'm going to stick to Claude 3.7, so that's where we'll be doing all the testing. And we'll see kind of how it functions from there. Let's have it go try to visit a different website here. So rather than Clown Strike, let's see. That's right, we were seeing something odd on here where it was a post hog thing. Oh, let's try this. Can we take a screenshot? Let's see where the screenshot gets saved. If it gets saved, it will probably get saved on this computer. But I'm curious if it even has that ability. Once I kind of get a handle on this browser use agent, we'll go plug this into the exploitation agent, and we'll see if it'll start working with what else we've got going on. We may need to potentially add something to the state table to handle these browser sessions. I'm not quite sure yet. Like I said, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. Watch it make a picture of a clown and drop it in the local directory. I know, right? That'd be pretty funny. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, for some reason, we get these timeouts whenever it's trying to connect over to it. So I'm going to let this run. Chances are it's probably going to time out on here. But for some reason, when I remember this happening last weekend when we were testing this, is that the first time the browser agent runs, it does a good job. Then it just absolutely loses its mind and stops working. It looks like it's going to time out again, but just for completeness sake, I'm going to let it do that real quick. Yeah, so it failed right here. I'm going to try it one more time. If it times out the first time, then yeah, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to restart the container, and then we're going to try it again. Because that'll be a serious issue where, like, if we can't just leave the container up and let it run and do its thing, that's going to suck. Yeah, it looks like it's timing out because it usually starts processing pretty fast, but I'm going to let it do its thing before I just kill it. Yeah. Let's stop this. Let's go restart our Docker Compose. Let's go ahead and run this again. Yeah, so that's the weird thing is it looks like between runs of the agent, it loses its mind about the browser. Oh, we're actually getting quite a bit of output. I saw it do something here. Let's take a look at what it's got here. So I'm at the beginning of my task, which is to browse to clownstrike.lol, take a screenshot. Let's see, current browser state. I'm on an empty page. File system, I have an empty to-do and results MD file. User request is to go here, take a screenshot. Since I'm on the starting page, I'll navigate to this website and take a screenshot of the page. Let's see, I'm going to create a simple plan and place it in todo.md. Cool. Let's see. Looking at the to-do file, I have correctly outlined the steps. So a lot of times, and this is what I've noticed because I'm actually testing something for someone right now, is a lot of these are doing, They're using a lot of thinking model prompts where the model's actually coming in saying, okay, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. And it goes and it hits it. Let's see, so navigating to it took half a second, run one action, stopped due to 3 consecutive failures. So weird. Let's try a different page on here. Instead of Clown Stripe, let's say I wanted to go to github.com. Yeah, why not? Go to GitHub, get a screenshot of the homepage. And now it probably is going to time out again because it had so much issues with that last one. It's really weird. I wish I had a little bit more insight into what's happening inside the container. Okay, so it's actually processing now. Browser is closed or disconnected and unable to proceed. I wonder what happened here. So there's something with this headless browser one that is just not having a good time. What could be another solution we got here? If this one isn't going to work, look this up real quick. And see, what sucks is we don't even get like any logging about what's happening in the container with it. Docker container. Let me see. It's attack A. Let me see here. Okay, cool. Because I was wondering if it was leaving those containers in place there when it was doing this. Let's see here. So what could we do with this? Because this Docker container is absolutely just eating itself. It's not having a good time. So one of the options is we let the browser agent kind of spin itself up. When it does that, let's take a look here. We defined our session up here. We get our agent. Agent does its run. I wonder if we need to kind of save that agent somehow. Copy and paste the context of the terminal data into Gemini 2.5 Pro and ask it to analyze the most effective solutions. I suppose I could do that. I mean, a lot of this project, it's funny though, Axio, because it is using, because you're making use of AI agents or language models. I'm actually trying to use them as little as possible. Really, the only thing that I've been having assistance with was over here in, where was it? In utils. So we built the integration between LangChain and RoboPages so that we could query RoboPages and present all the functions that RoboPages has as tools. I actually did have help with that from Grok, but the code actually didn't work. I went through and understood what it was kind of going for, and that led me to having those kind of like breadcrumbs, that roadmap, helped out a ton, and then I went and wrote all this in here. Actually, I've been kind of liking Grok, and really the only reason I've been using Grok is because it's one that I have the closest, what is it? I have the easiest access to. Why, thank you, cute beard. Actually, I just trimmed it up, and I think I did it a little bit lopsided. I need to go trim it up again, but I was looking rather homeless, so I had to go. I had to rein it in a bit. It was getting wild. But Jesus, thank you for coming online and welcome in. Well, we have another option here, and that is, let's think about something for the state table real quick. We might just need to extend the state table. So maybe for Stinger, is this actually used anywhere? I don't know why I put this even in here. I think this actually was supposed to be for here, but it's fine. One thing we could do over in the Stinger state is we could go add something in here for managing browsers. I'm hesitant to go try to nest the browser sessions. I'm thinking store those browser sessions in the state table, maybe over in Stinger. However, one of the issues that I'm seeing is that the nesting is getting kind of crazy. And so having browsers and an explanation of like what's the context of the browser and like how is it executing, that would be helpful. And then we could go ahead and go build in the Docker Compose stuff and allow it to execute the Docker commands. Where's the Palpatine? Do it. What's the actual error output again? The initial result seems like it's Playwright related, but we're not actually using Playwright though. Playwright was one of the initial ideas. So Bobby, we're using the computer use agent here. And so, I'm sorry, browser use. I was thinking computer use from what Axio sent earlier. But here, let me send this real quick. This is actually what we're doing. And I don't believe browser use is actually making any use of Playwright. I don't think it is. Actually, it is making some use of Playwright. It kind of is here, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. It actually is.
I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Frozen, where were you 58 minutes ago when I started the stream and forgot to unmute myself? Because then you would have actually been helpful. Let's see. I know we have a Playwright Docker basically like server that we can use. Maybe that would be, even though we're not using Playwright, maybe that would be one of the simpler solutions. Playwright issue comment. Oh, let's see. Remote debugging port will break Chromium browsers without the user data directory option. Interesting. I mean, I don't really care if we... Is this a Chromium option? Oh god, what am I doing? Let's see. User data directory. Whoop. So in Chrome, we could just say path to whatever. I mean, I'm not against actually adding it to this. Definitely try that. What was the issue he was facing here? Let's see. Steps to reproduce. Launch Chromium. Expected behavior to not time out. The browser is not none. All right, so let's see what he does here. So what he does is he starts Edge with remote debugging port. Sets all this stuff up. That's Playwright connect to it. He's connecting. Is that correct? I thought it was CDP for the URL. Oh no, it is. Hold on. That's right. You do specify it as HTTP. Never mind. So that's correct. Actual behavior. He's getting all these timeouts. Looks like the CDP argument is not does not end up in Edge. If you navigate to Edge version, you can confirm that. I don't have a user data dir. I'm using the defaults. I mean, we can try that. Let's go take a look at the compose again real fast. I need to go look at this real quick. So I need to go look at how this container was actually configured. I believe we just grabbed the latest. So if we look at the tags here, or the image layers, I don't think they're actually running it as any particular user. Let's see, do they have... They have a GitHub to where they're building this, because then we could go look and see actually how it's building. Here we go. Look at the build script here real fast. They're doing some interesting build paths. Look at the build headless shell. So were they actually doing the build command? Let's see. So I'm trying to see what they're using as the base image. Depot Tools Ninja. And this is a wild build setup. I've not seen one quite like this. I'm trying to see like what's the base image that they're building off of this. Like what is the base container? Let's see. To reap zombie processes, use Podman's run init argument. Keep seeing them talk about zombie processes for this. Let's see. I mean, chances are we could probably just go put it into /root. In fact, you know what we can do real fast? Let's actually just spin up the container. Where's it? Here. And let's come down here, we'll do a Docker PS, and let's do a Docker exec interactive terminal, and let's go into headless Chrome. We're going to run bin bash. There we go. So it looks like we are running as root. Let's do yes real fast. And we don't have nothing in here. But it looks like we're just in the root directory right now. But we could just use the user dir /root in here. Let's go try adding that real quick. Exit out of this. Let's go here. Get this, and then go in the compose. Let's try adding this. What we want to add is, I think it's user data dir. What he was talking about. Yeah, user data dir, and we'll just put it to /root in here. That's not correct. There we go. There we go. Set that just like so. And then now let's try composing it. Let's see. All right, cool. So we did get that added to it. Let's go see if now we can actually do repeated events without it just crapping out on us. Because what's happening is we'll get maybe one successful run, it will die. So we're trying to see if we can get another one. Oh yeah. Okay. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Maybe this is why. Look at this. Leaving browser running using .kill to or use .kill to force it closed. Maybe that's why it's been hanging. No, look at this. Still says browsers closed or disconnected, unable to process. Let's go see. What did we get over in like our traces for today? Look at this one quick. We'll get the sponsorship before year end. Be awesome. I don't know if I'm going to be up to doing a Murph. So the theory was I'd have to be able to complete a Murph to be able to get Jocko to sponsor the stream. However, with the condition of my back, and I've never been a great runner anyway. However, I thought I could suffer through it. The condition of my back, trying to do a run with a fully loaded up plate vest just has me worried about what my back is going to do with that. So it wrote that to the to-do. Let's go down here quick. The way they're doing these runnables, it makes it a little bit difficult to track exactly how and what it's doing. Let's see, so our input is... So all of that is the input, and the output is... Okay, that's awesome, but I don't know if it's actually getting a chance to do it from looking at the output here. For some reason, it keeps saying page crashed during the call log. So it's thinking on the right track. It says, after navigating to GitHub, I'll need to take a screenshot. In the next step, using the save PDF action, we'll save the current page as a PDF file. I mean, not exactly a screenshot, but I mean, it'll work. Hang on. Dropping stuff on the floor. Let's see. So our Chrome dev tools are listening. Yeah, I don't think it is. Well, I mean, especially not when we're getting stuff like this right here. Warning, browser use controller, action go to URL failed, page crashed. Let's try having it go to example.com because that is a fairly like low-key page, right? It just looks like this. So rather than going to GitHub, let's see if we can have it get to example.com and just look at that real fast. Something that's a little bit simpler. And now let's see if it actually will reconnect rather than just flipping out on us. Now see that? So like I was saying, over here in the state table, one thing we might do is add like a table of, let me see, I don't know, call it like persistent tools. Something over here that we could nest under it different values, like for example, browsers, and then we could have the list of the browsers happening in there. Because here it's just flat out dying. Why we keep having to restart the container, though, is the question. Actually, what's the output here? I think we can throw an await in here. Oh, there's the await right there. Inside we have to do those inside the async function. Got killed? What is the option I want here? Not going to worry about it just yet. Let me try rerunning this again now that we've restarted it. See if we can just get to example.com. We're just going to hack around and find out. That did not work. Oh, it'd help if I actually ran the Docker container. There we go. Now let's try it. So it looks like it's trying to do stuff now. Navigate it to example.com. I wonder why GitHub died. But one thing we'll be able to do is after it takes the screenshot, hopefully we'll see like kind of where it lands. Specialty agents, browser. It might just drop it in here, I'm not sure. Let's see. Alright, so far it's just still info stuff, so it's making progress. It's trying. I haven't seen any warnings or errors pop up yet. The problem with these thinking models sometimes, though, is they can get very convoluted in their execution of what they're doing. They can try doing something that they think didn't succeed when it actually did. Let's see if I can go get this file real quick. That's there. let's see, steps completed. Okay, so that's where it's been doing this. It's making a temp file on where it's going to store all those various items. Cool. So there's the results in the MD. Did it say where it actually stored it, though? I should now call the action to report completion to the user. Where's the screenshot done? Saved it as example.com PDF. So where would that be, though? Oh, it's right there. Look at that. Well, there we go. I mean, it's not exactly what I wanted. I was hoping it'd actually take a screenshot of it, but it's close. We're getting places now. It's moving along. Now, the big test will be if we come through and we run this again, will it fall on its face or will it actually work? Here we go. This is actually the thing here. Browser session.stop called, but keep alive equals true, leaving the browser running. Use .kill to force close. So I wonder if we need to kill the session after we're done with it. Actually, it looks like it connected all right this time. It's still going through. Nice. Did we get? And I wish we were getting a little bit more output here from the headless Chrome, like of maybe stuff that was happening. Bobby, I don't know, and I hate it whenever problems auto magically resolve themselves. It kind of pisses me off. But we're going to stress test it just a wee bit here. I'm going to see if I can get it to like run a couple times in here. And in fact, probably what I'll do is let's go hop over to the lab real quick and let's go spin up that box real fast. Hang on. I got to go into OPSEC mode real quick because I know it's going to make me log in. There we go. Wait. Yes, now we're good. Go start this machine up. And then once we do it, we'll go hop on the VPN. We'll have it go take a screenshot of this page. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Highs and bugs. The bug changes its nature depending on how you observe it. I freaking hate them. Okay, we'll give this just a minute to boot up real fast. Once the lab page boots up, so let's go ahead and connect over to the VPN real quick. There we go. Connected. So now we just got to give about 20 seconds. We'll get the IP address to the target box. Then we'll go smack it around a wee bit. Let's go try this real quick. Have it browse to this site, but not on HTTPS. What I'd really like to see is something like, it'd be neat if here in browser dir, right? Let's see, this was play, right? Hold on. Let's go back to main. For some reason, I was in some weird branch. But anyway, down here, they've got some fantastic videos kind of explaining what's happening right here. If I could actually get something like this where it was analyzing it and we could have this data kind of saved, that would be even better, especially once the 4 primary agents are done and we can start working on the user interface, this would be sick to have as an explanation of, hey, the language model saw X, it stored it like this, this is what we were looking at, and here's where it went. That would be sick. I think to get something like this, though, we may actually need like a non-headless Chrome. Let's get this example right here. So this is read my CV and find machine learning jobs, save them to a file, and then start applying to them in new tabs. If you need help, ask me. Awesome. This is fantastic. I love this. Hold on. Did they have this as an example? Something we can go look at? Examples. Use cases. Let's see here. Find influencer profiles, Google Sheets. Okay. Nice. Find and apply to jobs. Oh, this is awesome. I love this. So in this case, they're using Azure OpenAI. Just fine. Interesting how they're doing this. Hold on, let me see how this goes. So they're gonna run main. So here's our main function right here. Your professional job hunter. So ground task. So 1, read my CV with read CV. Find machine language internships. And this is actually pretty cool. Check out Web Voyager, the examples. All right, let's do that. Web Voyager agent. Let's see. Web navigation agent for tasks like flight bookings and course searching. So they defined a task up here, which is find and book a hotel, which is fine. Language model, browser sessions, validate output true. What is the validate output in here? This is a really cool library. I can't wait really once we plug it into something like the actual graph and see how it operates. I'm really hoping that instead of getting these runnable sequences, we'll actually see it be embedded. Let's see. So, for example, look more. Are we out of space in here? I think it's only showing the last 7 days. Show the last 14 days. Here you go. For example, so like Stinger, it had an error, but you see how we get like all this output from Stinger whenever it runs? I'm hoping that what's going to happen is all these runnable sequences will get embedded in this, and we'll be able to actually see them like as subcalls, things like that in here. But we got to get the darn thing working first. All right, looks like it may have made one. Data storage. Let's go look at that. Oh wait, actually I forgot. That's where it's stored it right there. Let me delete that out. It kind of did. I mean, I wish it wouldn't always default to the print PDF one. Like, I wish it could actually take a screenshot of a page. I don't know why it's using the PDF option. Let's see. Your server is out of date. Update to LangGraph CLI. I'll update it later. Every time I update it, something breaks. In fact, I had system updates I needed to do, and I waited till after Tuesday night stream to actually do them. Headless shell, we're good there. Actually, I want to go kind of run it one more time because see if it actually gets it again. So we go delete this page out. So I don't know what changed in it. Maybe it was adding that user data directory, Bobby, but it seems to be running properly now. Cool. So now the Chrome is a little bit more stable over there. Yeah, so weird. Let's go. Fantastical. So now the kicker is we need to figure out how we're going to task this and get it set up. I'm still thinking to extend the state table to add something like persistent tools. And that actually might be really handy too, because things like the connection to Mythic could exist in there. I don't know why I made this Stinger router here. Agent to route to next. Let's see. Well, that's pretty cool because it actually went through and did it. So actually, I want to go figure out. Let's go look at the runnables output. Because did it send like a screenshot to display the characteristics? Let's see. This was our last run of it here. Wait, this hasn't updated yet, has it? Because it was... Yeah, this should have had a different time to it. Hang on. Here we go, 26. Because we were still down here in like 21, 22. Okay, now that was the capital of France right there. So let's look at this one first. Here we go. I just want to see the language model call. Because what we're seeing here when we do this, we're seeing basically a condensed version of every step that happened in here. I'm going to click on just this chat Anthropic node to see what happened to the agent back and forth. So we have an agent output tool. We have an input. Let's see. First up, the user requested me is to browse. Did we enable a thinking mode, or did it actually do it on its own? Look at the metadata real quick. So we're using 3.7 Sonnet latest. Tool is agent output. That is a really long tool description. Let's see. So it's not using like the thinking mode in here. It's using the chat mode. Using function calling properties. Yeah. So thinking is null in here. I mean, there's a property in it for the tool call, thinking type, but not in the actual execution of it. So the output is, we're going to do some stuff here. Let's actually read through this. It says the user's requested me to browse to the IP address, take a screenshot of the page. Let me analyze it. I'm seeing the current state, the page title, which is Hack at Home. Page content shows a terminal-like screen. I can take a screenshot of this page to confirm this. Shows a minimalist background. Let me look at something real quick. So we know this is where we know we started a run right here. Because what it's doing is it's asking, What's the capital of France? That is, it's kind of like init point. So these 4 items here must have been kind of where it was going through with this. The traces are a little bit funky in here, but clicked element with index number 4. Let's see. Interactive elements you can see. Oh, cool. Page description. Dude, did it actually send a screenshot of it as part of the input? Sure did. All right, that's sick. So they're using the image processing mode for this. Nice. Very nice. I wonder if I could literally tell it, take a, let's see, the screenshot's been successfully captured showing this terminal-like interface. I wanted to save this screenshot. So actually, let's see if we can do that real quick. Because that would be crazy handy. Let's see. Any screenshots as... What did this show up as? A PNG file? No clue, because it... Actually, I think it literally just saved it as data there. As PNG files. Let's see if it'll run again, and the Docker container still actually keeps it up. Yeah, I'm liking this, Bobby. I think we're going to hopefully get some good mileage out of this agent. For some reason, though, we told it to create the screenshot last time, and it did not actually save it. It still did the PDF. It's so weird. I mean, it's neat that it's grabbing it at all, but the PDF leaves a lot to be desired, right? You're not pages don't really translate to PDFs all that fantastical. But one of the cool things about this is also if we suspected that there was information like hiding in the DOM somewhere, we could tell it, hey, by the way, examine comments, see if there's any extra information. Think about all the different CTFs that I've been through where like pieces of information were hidden, and we could go add it to it. Still haven't saved a PNG screenshot as requested. Verdict was partial success. It's still trying, though. It's thinking. It's really trying to... I think it's really trying to get that screenshot. I saved a PDF, but can't save a PNG due to tool limitations. So we just need to go see what tools it's got available. Bandolero. Did I say that right? Bandolero. Yeah, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Happy Saturday. This is cool, though. I think let's go do that real quick. Let's go pop into the browser agent, the browser use docs. Close this up. Browser use. Here we go. So what tools are actually available for it to use? Output format. Let's see what we got. Default is text, but you can define a structured output format to make post-processing easier. Let's see. System prompt. You can customize the system prompt in 2 ways. Extend the default prompt with additional instructions or override the default system prompt entirely. Nice. Always open first a new tab and go to the first URL no matter what the task. You must overwrite the default system prompt. Make sure you test your agent yourself. Yeah. I mean, so far the default system prompt is working. We may want to go extend it in here. Extended system message. Yeah, we could totally do that. Hack that planet. You know what? Just for you, Bedler. I got you. I got you, bro.
Hack the planet!
Hack the planet. Let's see, what was that? 95 when that movie came out? So I was 11. Yeah.
Nerd!
Shut up, baby. I know it. Let's see. You can also customize the behavior of the planning agent by extending its system prompt. So you do extended message. Oh, cool. So you literally just pass to the agent your extended planner system message. Nice. Nice. Hey, Bandolero. So what we're working on, Bandolero, is we're building an AI agent in a framework called LangChain, or LangGraph, really. LangChain is what's kind of facilitating it, but LangGraph is the actual primary building to it. And we're building one to go play cybersecurity capture the flag games, so hacking contests on Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. It is still very early in development, and we're working on the 3rd agent right now, which is the exploitation agent. However, we ran into some issues where the exploitation agent really doesn't want to do some stuff when it comes to web in a programmatic fashion. It wants a web browser. It's dying for a web browser. It's hurting bad. So what we're doing right now is we're setting up a new agent. Actually, we're just piggybacking off of this really awesome one called browser use. It integrates into LangChain and LangGraph really well. And so in theory, we should be able to just plug it in there. We're currently just hacking around and finding out. We're playing with it and messing with it, see what capabilities it's got. And then as part of the exploitation agent here, we're going to plug this in and make it available to really any of these agents. We'll make it available where it can come in and it can use that browser to either gather information or to go through and click through items, upload files, you name it. I dropped my USB stick. This is my Debian installer fidget spinner, otherwise known as just a USB stick. So what we're doing right now is we're connected over to a test lab, and we're just we're trying a couple different things on it. I'm trying to see if the browser use agent, let me see, let's search for PDF. Well, I guess it would help if I spelled PDF correctly. Maxivane, what's up? Maxivane? What's up, man? So Enum and Recon right now are fairly identical. And here, I'll show you real fast. Let's see. We come over to... Actually, this is where we want to be. Let me shrink some of this stuff down. I need to go rework this a bit, but over here in prompts, what we have all of our information about how the different agents function. So that's our task list prompt. Let me see. Here we go. So what we do is Stinger, this guy right here. This is actually the Stinger graph. This is basically how the Stinger agent executes. And Stinger's job currently is just to divvy out tasks to the various agents. So we gave it this kind of explanation. So Recon would be build a comprehensive picture of the targets and identify potential attack vectors. The Enum one would be actively probing the target to extract detailed information about its components, such as users or services, shares, configuration, things like that. That is the end goal and how Stinger uses the language model to decide where to send a task. So as we're flowing through this, we actually give it the initial task list, and the initializer formats it, puts it into the state table for Stinger to begin acting on it once it gets here. Eventually, Stinger will actually have another loop that executes off to the side here that allows it to examine information, create decisions on what task to do next, and then add that task into the queue and let these agents go through and handle it. Right now, Stinger is very simplistic. All of these really are. For all intents and purposes, recon and enumeration do the exact same thing. They just handle different tasks. Eventually, what will happen is I'm going to build out, and we're building out the first specialty agent now, which is the browser agent, where they can go through and provide unique input. So for example, I plan on building a suite of Azure, let's say like Azure Cloud agents. So there'll be one for doing some reconnaissance or enumeration. And so these guys can actually go through and build out information about these. Like, so for example, for recon, it might use the Azure agent to find out what's the tenant, what's the associated domains, things like that. The enumeration agent might go through and, for example, if we get a set of credentials into Azure, might go through and start running something like Azure Hound, and then importing that over to a different specialty agent, which is connected to Bloodhound, and they can start doing graph analysis in Bloodhound. So all sorts of fun stuff. These are broken out currently because we'll need them broken out differently in the future. And so, for example, web recon might be completely different from, like, say, web enumeration. And so that's why they're kind of split up like this. Eventually, there will be a fourth agent over here called post exploitation that'll interact with Mythic C2. That's kind of what we're doing. Maybe we could do the same with N8N and MCP. I've thought about that, Bandolero, but I don't know how much I would like to do. I've been messing with N8N. I have automated absolutely nothing. And it was funny because Network Chuck posted on Twitter. He's like, hey, what's some of the fun stuff you've built, or what have you automated with N8N? And I replied back to him. I was like, I have automated nothing, and I've been having a blast with it. It's really fun to go through and mess with and learn, especially with the low-code approach to it. And so, I mean, you probably could absolutely do this with N8N. I just don't have enough expertise with it to do it. And I really like writing the code for it. It's been a lot of fun. So holding state for that part of the Stinger process, but they'll have other actions or specialty agents, and they'll access those to achieve their own goals, like Azure Recon. Yeah, exactly. And same thing for exploitation. Exploitation would have, like, let's say, maybe there's a specialty agent for web exploitation that is maybe specialized, trained on stuff that comes out of, like, the Portswigger Academy, and then it can happen with that. Another one might be, maybe we need to reverse engineer a binary. So that would really be, I would put that under the exploitation agent. So let's say we build an agent that's really good at reverse engineering and understanding C# binaries, or .NET binaries specifically. Perfect. We run it through there. It could look for vulnerabilities. Maybe there's a vulnerability in a listening service that we happen to have a copy of the binary for. So stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that I'm planning on building it. So I'm trying to make it not super strict and extensible at the same time. So the flows will be fairly consistent. Like, for example, the exploitation one is the most complex one so far. Yeah, let me rearrange this a bit. I'm gonna go a bit like this. There we go. Hold on. There we go. So for example, kind of squish this down a wee bit. So whenever we load up the exploitation agent, ignore this first node. This first node is just here for testing purposes. But the exploitation agent looks at what tasks are assigned to it. It says, okay, what potential exploits do we have? The exploit planner says, okay, I think actually, check the back. The exploit agent says, okay, I think we can do this to exploit it. The planner then comes through and says, all right, what steps do we need to achieve this and see if this is a valid exploit? And then we start executing through the steps of it. So we have this loop that happens here for it to iterate over the steps. So one of the things we'll do is in here, like, for example, this exploit tool node, this might get swapped out. I haven't quite decided yet. Right now, it's using a built-in one that comes with LangGraph. We just slap the tools in there and let it go. But we might need to add a special one in here that says, hey, by the way, we need to actually use the browser use agent over here. And then we let it do its thing. So right now, I know the browser use agent is going to be helpful. We're figuring out the capabilities, seeing how we might be able to use it effectively, and then we're going to decide where to plug it in here. Because every time Exploit Planner, even though I told it not to, it always wanted to give instructions like navigate to here, do this, do that. And it's like, we don't really necessarily need to do some of those steps if we were doing this programmatically. If we're doing it through a browser, yeah, we can do that. So I think one of the first things from looking at this we'll need to do is when we initialize that session, over here in the state table, which is like our master book of truth, every one of these nodes, when they operate, they get a copy of the state table and they make modifications to it, and then they just return the keys in this typed dictionary that need to be updated. That's what it's doing. So I think what we might do is go through and add a browser, like a persistence tools option in here. And then we can store things like browser sessions, connections to Mythic, anything else where it's a long-lived connection that we need to keep alive and we want to be reusable for other portions of code. Yeah, that icon meant that there's a subgraph here. So like if I come back to Stinger, I can actually expand this out. And then you'd actually see the full workflow as it was running through each of these here. And same thing for enum and exploit. So you can get an idea of like what's the actual flow of everything here. And in fact, it's got a little error up here saying I need to update the CLI server, but whatever, I'll do that later. So yeah, that's what this is doing. These are all subgraphs that it's calling whenever it does that. So we call this one Stingers. This is an extra node, don't worry about that. But these will be the 4 primary agents and they'll be handling everything as it comes through here. Let's see. In cases where it'll depend on other software like IDA and Binary Ninja, you'll need to use MCP or more specialized AI. More especially nowadays, AI hallucinations could put a false positive result, maybe. Oh, yeah. So one of the good things we've got with this kind of configuration we're doing is we can modify a value called the temperature. And 0.7 seems to be about right. It basically runs from like 0 to 1. And this, the higher the value, the more it's going to hallucinate. The more freedom it's got to kind of move outside of the strict vectors that it's really processing. So we could always turn this down. We could also go through and we could add different models in here. So say, for example, we know that, let's say we know that, let me think. Maybe Gemini just does like an absolutely stellar job with reverse engineering. Then yeah, we could go in and we could put something like a Binary Ninja MCP in here, or, gosh, what was the other one? Ghidra. Like if we put Ghidra in here with an MCP server to it, then yeah, we could throw that in here. We could connect it to a different language model if we wanted to. Like I said, right now, we're very early innings and just trying to work on getting the exploitation agent working. And so far, it actually looks like this browser agent actually is working. The issue we're running into earlier is the Docker container would stay running, but we would never be able to reconnect over to the browser to let it run. It was like it was crashing for some reason. In fact, I think one of the reasons it may be doing that is some of the pages we had it go hit were a little intensive. It might have just ran out of resources. We might just need to tell the container that it can have more RAM and more processing power. Right now, it's connected to a very simple web page that's on the internal site here. So let me grab this real fast. I'll show you what the actual page looks like. Here you go. So this is what the page looks like. Super simple, very simple to render, versus something like the GitHub homepage, which has a bazillion JavaScript entries to it. So this is running really well. Awesome. one thing that would be interesting too is to see how much control over cookies we have with the tooling that's available to it. So we'll need to see what toolkits we've got available to the browser use agent, and then we might need to extend those. Like, for example, it can't save a screenshot right now as a PNG, which is what I wanted, because we can see in the trace over in Langsmith that it actually is sending image data and it's rendering it for us to Claude to have it analyze it. But it's saving it when we ultimately tell it to save it, it's saving it as a PDF. And that's a pretty much like horrible way to take an image of a web page. I've dealt with browser drivers before. They're too painful when it comes to resource usage. So they usually like exceedingly high on the resource usage side. Because all this is doing is we're running Chrome headless in a Docker container, and it's connecting over Chrome DevTools protocol to it. Gotcha. Well, that might be one of the issues we're running into here. It's when we're running it with this very simple page, it's not doing anything horrendous. Here in a second, I'm going to have it actually go to Yahoo, and we'll see if it can actually grab a screenshot of that page. When it comes to run multiple services depending on Chromium, gotcha. Well, thankfully, this should be fairly simplistic. I think also, eventually also, everything running on this system will be running in Docker containers, and Stinger will actually have the ability to manage those Docker containers. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. It hasn't been necessary. So, for example, our tool providing server is called RoboPages. That's not it. Here we go. RoboPages, which is basically, it's a YAML definition format to where we can provide tools to, and it's a, RoboPages itself is the YAML files. There's a RoboPages CLI, so TAC CLI repository that's the actual server. But for example, we have offensive information gathering. Let's see, like Eyewitness is here, Barox Buster, a bunch of other like offensive security tools, Nmap being like the most simplistic. But one of the cool things is anytime we want to go add a new tool, we just go add a new YAML definition for that tool. We drop it into the folder structure, restart RoboPages, and it's running in Docker too. RoboPages will then take this, spin up the Docker container, depending on how we told it to. In this case, it's running like a local Docker file. We'll go set it up, and then we're just good to go. So this is a really, really cool tool. Eventually, also, we'll have another specialty agent, which is like a tooling agent, where the idea there is it'll come in and generate this YAML file if we need a new tool that we don't already have. Bam. We have it go generate the YAML file. We have it drop it into disk, restart RoboPages so it's available. We do a test call to it, make sure it's working, and then boom, we send it. I think it'd be great. I got a web research pipeline going for an encyclopedia editing team. Oh, nice. We didn't end up with LangChain due to existing tech stack, but it was definitely high on my list of things to try. So I built this from scratch, Max, and honestly, I picked LangChain and LangGraph just because of kind of like their popularity and because it was supported in Python. I had no other great reasons than for choosing that, and I've been pretty happy with that decision like from the start here. Hey, guy, what's up, dude? Happy Saturday, man. All right, let's go see, did that complete? All right, it says it wasn't able to save a PNG, but that's fine because we know that that was the case. Need to get that out. I don't care if it didn't save the PNG file, that was just something in. But did it actually go into... But what is this? Attempted to send an LS and a who am I? What? Hold on. What did it do here? Hold on. Hang on one sec before I go doxing some other stuff I'm working on here. Okay, there we go. Let me bring this up here where we can actually see it a little bit better. let's go see what it's doing here. So to accomplish the user's request. Wait, hold on. This said it's going to go to root me. Did I not rerun the one for for Yahoo? Oh, I didn't. I was letting it finish its run. That's why it looks so weird. All right. Never mind. So now I want to run it again. I wanted to go see if it can hit Yahoo fast. Because I have a theory that it's maybe these chunkier pages where it's actually having to render a lot of stuff is stressing it out and crashing it. What do you suggest I use for a tunnel? I already know about LangGraph. Depends on how and what you're trying to tunnel, guy. What's the scenario? Dude, I really like the tool. Here, I'll get you the GitHub link to it. It's really cool. The biggest pain for it was actually setting up the LangGraph and LangChain integration. There we go. Oh, for the app you're writing, guy. I would say actually maybe check out. You may be able to do what you're trying to do with the tunneling with what's it called? Tailscale. Look at I mean, like if you want something a little bit skinnier, you're basically stuck with something like perhaps LangGraph or anything like that. But maybe you could actually do what you're trying to do with Tailscale and some of its network rules. You can kind of automate that and have those apps are kind of restricted on how they're talking. Let's see. Tailscale is actually not very complex, and you can manage it. I believe they have like a management API where you can control like where everything's happening with it. So Tailscale might be a flexible and extensible solution for you, guy. Other than that, I can't really think of anything offhand. I think Teleport might be another option. Yes, you could also do just a simple SSH tunnel. I've never actually used Teleport. I've used Tailscale. I've used plenty of SSH over the years. Yeah, you could even do it something as simple as just like SSH port forwards. Let's see. Did Yahoo finish? Let's go see. Page crashed. So that's what it looks like is what's happening here. So I think that theory of page resources is what's cracking is what's causing it to get out. Wingate? I hadn't seen that. Yeah, Guy, this sounds like it might actually be something you should also check out too. Twingate. I'm not familiar with it. It sounds almost similar to Tailscale. I really like Tailscale. It's super handy for me accessing the lab and stuff. Let's see here. Let me see. Docker container. I gotta remember how to do this. Resource limits. Let's see here. Let's see, the maximum amount of memory the container can use. If you set this option, the minimum value allowed is 6 megabytes. What's the default for these, though? Like, what's the default limit for some of this? I love that this option is called memory swappiness. So memory reservation allows you to specify a soft limit smaller than memory, which is activated when Docker detects contention or low memory. see. Hey, Cypher, what's up, brother? I'm not a nerd. You're a nerd. Nah, I take that back. I'm a mega nerd. See something. I gotta remember how to do this. Check.
I'm back, baby.
Memory usage. Docker container. Gotta remember that. Usually memory is not restricted by Docker, but the container might have a max limit controlled by some environment variables. That might be something we need to go hop in there and check, because we can always go check the Chromium process and see what environment variables are set for it and see if it has a memory usage limit. In fact, let's try that quick. Chrome, I think it's headless. Yeah, there we go. It's Chrome DP, was that it? Chrome DP, here we go. We'll see if they have any mention of how much memory they've got saved for this guy. No, nothing on memory. Let's go search for that. Chrome, Docker, headless, show, page corruption. Let's see, what kind of page was he trying to hit here? Let's see, we should have plenty. I mean, I'd like this first suggestion. Check the server has enough memory. I'm pretty sure we're good on this. Let's see. Yeah, we've only used 8.6 gigs in here. We still have 22 gigs of memory available on this server. And I'm pretty sure we're not thrashing the CPU. Nope. I mean, we should be Gucci on resources on this server. I don't know if you can be explicit about the page.screenshot method with browser use. Oh, interesting. Actually, let me go. I forgot I was going to check that. Let's come over to browser use real quick. I want to check out these examples too because they look sick. Let's see here. Actually, let's go. I want to see what it's doing for the PDF because it always wants to save a PDF. So we can extract PDF content. This was one of the examples here. Save it as a PDF. Let's see here. That's part of their continuous integration here. I'd have to go see which tool it was actually using to, because I think it might say in the output. Actually, do it. Let me try something real quick. So we know the page crashed when it was trying to render Yahoo. If we go set it back to the test page here, build this. This will tell us if the container actually is like crapping out on us, or if it's just maybe that page keeps dying. Yeah, so once it crashes, it looks like it crashes hard and it requires a container restart. That sucks. Pay attention when it comes to use of Chromium without a sandbox, as that could put the automation process at risk. So the problem with Bandolero was we didn't want to get a PDF. We wanted to actually get a wanted to get like a PNG or some other like image file to save the screenshot. For some reason, it was just always wanting to generate a PDF when we told it to grab a screenshot. Let's try something. Let's add an option. I think extended system message is what I want here. I'm gonna try this real quick. Let's do save any images captured to. Let's see if I can get this to work. So I haven't tried Puppeteer before, and I don't know how much experience with it. I work in offensive security, so typically a lot of the stuff I do is breaking things. This is a detour from my usual modus operandi, where I'm trying to build something now. Yeah, I like it a lot, man. I tell you what, I gotta run to the bathroom real quick, guys, and the ads are about to run. I'm gonna do a 3-minute ad break, so we're done with them for the rest of the stream. We don't have to worry about it. So grab a drink, grab a stretch, and then we'll deal with this a little bit more. We'll see if we can make it more stable. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Woot. Crap, actually, hang on. Forgot something. Be right back. All right, now I'm back. Let's see here. What if we could tell it to make itself a new tab before it runs? What options do we have with the agent here? Let's see. Like that. Hey, Usama, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Welcome in. You find me right now trying to troubleshoot coding a core management for sandbox malware analysis. The music you're playing makes me feel comfortable. I'm glad, man. It's honestly, it's the music from the game Heartbound, and mostly actually the reason I started using it because it's for use for like live streams. As long as you're not using it in another game, it's pretty much like free to use. And I got so tired of dealing with DMCA BS just trying to find music for the stream. So that makes up probably 90% of the playlist, and the other 10% is other stuff that I find I can add into it. Let's see. Browser use agent. What options do we have? I know we have a run option to it. Let's go look at everything. Got you. Hey, man. How are you doing? Happy Saturday. There's our init. I wanted to see what other functions do we have. This thing's chunky. It's just everything in the frickin' init. Oh, there we go. What do we have? We have logger, browser. I want to see if we can make it, like, force it to open a new tab each time. Maybe that would help. Actually, I don't think that would even matter, because right now it's straight up saying it cannot connect to CDP. So this would be something we'd tell it, hey, by the way, if it fails connecting to CDP, then we would tell it to start a new browser. We know the browser crashed. And starting a new browser for it would mean going through and basically restarting the Docker container. I did this. There we go. Start the Docker Compose again. Hey, Osama. Working on a little AI hacking agent designed to play Capture the Flag games. So, quick rundown of it is... Oh, there it is. Like, what? There was one other node here. Where'd it go? It's not important, though. Basically, we're working on with the LangChain and LangGraph, and we're building out these workflows, and to build these little AI agents. So Stinger here is the supervisor, And then there's 4 primary agents, kind of representing the 4 stages of an offensive security operation, which is what I do day to day. So it's basically trying to code my day-to-day job. And so we'll have recon, enumeration, exploitation. There'll be a 4th one over here that I haven't started yet for post-exploitation work. We're currently working on this agent here. However, it really, really needs its own web browser to interact with. So we're trying to get it one where it can go through and actually dictate, like navigate to a page, click the login button, do this, do that, whatever. What if you could just add something like convert all saved PDFs to PNG at the end? Possibly. Possibly. I like their documentation. However, it doesn't go quite as deep as I would like. For example, actually, let's look at the sensitive data thing. Oh, okay. So when working with sensitive information like passwords or PII, you can use the agent sensitive data equals parameter to provide sensitive strings that the model can use in actions without ever seeing them directly. Ooh, that's a great idea. Love that. That's pretty awesome. You can find what output format the agent should return to you. Is there anything else in browser settings? Because we know it's so what we're seeing here in the traces is like right here. We can see a screenshot that it has saved and it has used to send this up to it. I tell you, let me look at something real quick. This is the human task. Basically, this was at the end of the input, right? Let's go over to here. Let's check at the raw input, which it looks like it's probably sending. Yeah, it's sending it as base 64 encoded data here. So type was image URL. Here's the image. Here's the data. And even here it says PNG, right? It just always wants to copy this into that. So it's getting the info. Let me look at something real quick here. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a valid run that's going because of what it was doing. Close this out. So, put that back. Save any screenshots as... save screenshots, but not as PDFs. Can we just literally tell that? Don't save it as a damn PDF. I mean, one of the cool things, though, is as we see the information flowing back and forth with, like, the message history for it, we'll get the base 64 PNG data, and that would be really simple to render in a web UI. I'm gonna have to go dig into this browser use code a bit more to see exactly how it's flowing and what it's doing. Test browser session screenshots. Oh, really? This is in their CI pipeline. Let's see. Explicitly test the screenshots to be captured in headless mode equals true. Oh, dude, look at this. They're actually defining the browser session here, which I think they're doing this probably... Where are they using this at? Browser session start. Okay. Yeah, I think this is probably working with like a local copy of Chrome. They're not quite doing it the same way we are, anyway. So where's the screenshot bytes? Await browser session dot take screenshot. Maybe that's what we need. Something like, actually, looks like it's working the explicit function here, which in this case, we did make a browser session right here to this. What are they doing with this? So they do this. They get the base 64. They take the base 64 data, and then they just do a base 64 decode to get the bytes to it, and then they do a quick assertion, check the length of it. Test screenshot with state summary and headless. So yeah, they're getting the bytes for it, because then if you get the bytes back from the this browser session. Now also notice that they're not doing this with the agent though. Notice that? What they're doing is they're just testing the browser session. So the agent is handling all the interactions to the browser session. See that? Because what we do is we define the browser session here, and we tell it what the browser session is as it's going through. So one thing we... Let me think about this. How could we make that work? I mean, one of the good things is it's going to show up in there. Rendering this in the UI is going to be interesting, because it's basically, if I had to spitball what exactly it's doing here. Hold on, we'll check once this finishes. We'll go check the traces over in Langsmith, because what I suspect it's doing is it's building up a fake conversation and then passing that as input over to the model, because we're not seeing multiple model calls, are we? We're seeing one model call that happens. We're not seeing a conversation back and forth. I suspect, without reading the code, what it's doing is it's building that up to basically massage the context for the language model, sending that all up to it and letting it look at, oh, okay, here's what I need to do now. Agent's obfuscating part of the conversation as a middleman, so I wonder if you can somehow enforce the agent to call the function to do it. Maybe. That's what I was just thinking about. It might just be that anytime browser session screenshot gets called, we just inject our own code into there that says, hey, by the way, save this to disk. That might be one way to do it. Although we don't necessarily even need to take that step. Yeah, it would be handy, but if we've got that in basically the message history, we're going to be good there. Yeah, I'm thinking, more and more as I think about this, I'm thinking over in the state table, we're going to have to add, like I said, a list of a persistent tool section to the Stinger state. We can have the browser sessions in there, and as long as they're alive and they're not calling back as dead, we'll leave them in there. We'll come up with some kind of identifier. We'll then define like a structure for that browser session. In fact, we might not even just need that. We might just have to give it a name and be like, hey, by the way, here's the browser session I want you to use. I keep dropping that damn thing. Calling the function which the file test browser sessions, or literally calling the test browser session screenshots, because all it's doing here is it's running from the browser session this take screenshot option, and it's getting the screenshot back. Let's see. So this was test screenshot. So this one, test the screenshot handling works correctly in headless mode, even with the closed pages. Interesting. Yeah, because literally all they're doing is they're defining a browser session, and then they're just calling on that browser session take screenshot. I think how I'm going to work this into the flow, though. Probably what we'll need to do is over here. We may just have to go define our own tool, our own LangChain tool in the code, and that will call the browser agent to go complete a task. And when that returns, basically have it update the state table, like which browser it's working in. So what I'm thinking is we don't necessarily save the agent is, here's how I'm looking at this. The agent is whenever we have tasks that we want it to complete. Navigate here, click there, submit form X, yada, yada, yada. We'd let the agent go through and reason how to do that. The browser session is what it's actually interacting at, the object it's actually operating on. So the browser session is really what we'd want to save, I think, when we did that. There may be some history information we want to save as part of that agent. But notice how whenever we initialize the agent here, we're giving it the task immediately, right? This is the agent task. So another option is we look and see everything that we've got for the browser session, and we expose those as tools, and then tell it basically you can operate on this browser session. So we've got a couple different potential paths forward. I'm thinking what we do is we'll make a tool that basically be like the browser agent tool. We provide it a task or a list of tasks to go do. We go grab the browser session from the state table, plug that in, and then the language model configuration just comes directly from the config. I think we'd be good with that. So literally we'd have to take in, for that function call, we take in two parameters. What is the list of instructions? And then what's the browser session? The rest of this, these other two, we don't need to necessarily pass in. What I'm thinking, Bobby, is we could also superclass the browser session. If we superclass the browser session, what we could do is we could overwrite the screenshot and basically add that little bit of extensibility to it. That would be nice. I just don't know if we need it because, like I was saying over here, we can see the screenshot data in the conversation. And this is what I was talking about for anybody who wasn't quite sure what I was saying, is that this looks like it's a conversation, right? We have a system message, and then we've got a human message, and then we have like an AI message with a tool call, right? And some other stuff here. All the stuff kind of being put together. It looks like all of this entire input section here is kind of fabricated on the back end. So it makes it look like it has made certain calls. It's very interesting. Collapse this down real quick. What time is it? It's 22:31 Central Time. So I'm gonna run this one more time here. I kind of want to. No, I don't want to. I want to a note to it. Can I add feedback? No. Anyway, but this is where we left off. We left at 10:26. It's currently 10:31. I'm gonna run this one more time so I can see if I can get a full look at all the calls it's actually making back and forth. That's what I'm thinking, Bobby. It's like from the message history, we could just go grab the screenshot out of that and be good. I wish we had like something that would be a little bit simpler example, like of an actual website that we could have it go browse around and just start like seeing like, is it constantly taking screenshots? What's it doing? How's it doing it? We're still going to have to overcome the issue. It looks like whenever it's trying to load a more modern website, something like Yahoo or GitHub, it's just absolutely eating itself. It's falling flat on its face and it's killing the container, which in turn is killing the browser session. Let me see something here. Browser session. What methods do we have for this? We have browser profile, we have URLs, browser PID. Where's the init here? We got some Pydantic model validators. At least the web page is. Nothing else about it is, Oni. But the reason I was using Yahoo is, one, it's a very simple web page, but also it's complex. It has a lot of stuff on it, right? And so it looks like when it's trying to render those more complex web pages, because it rendered the one in the CTF just fine, but that's a very, very simple web page. Yeah, no, Yahoo's about as... Who would have thought that Yahoo would have like just become just nothing else on the internet? I use Yahoo for one thing and one thing only, and that is for just testing connectivity to the internet. That's about it. I'm trying to troubleshoot a network. You do an NS lookup on Yahoo or a dig against Yahoo, and it tells you so much. Because if it can't connect to the server, you know you've got a network issue. If it can connect to the server, but it can't to whatever your DNS server is, but it can't get a resolution, then you know you've got a DNS issue. So just doing a simple DNS query lets you start troubleshooting your network super fast. And that's literally what I would do a lot of times. NS lookup yahoo.com or dig yahoo.com and see what came back. That's about all Yahoo's good for now. Let's see. So we have a start. We've got a stop. What else do we have here? We could kill the session. Let's see. We could set up Playwright. We could set up a new browser context. What? What does this one do? So launch a new browser and browser context. Oh, okay. So something like this would be if we were running it locally, but... I would really like to know, and I might message these guys, to see how they had... I want to see how they kind of generated these examples down here, these example videos. Because I think this is amazing, like where it actually shows the highlighting of like what it's actually seeing. I think this is phenomenal. And so seeing something like this as HackBot's going through and like maybe trying to solve a CTF would be super helpful, be super amazing. So I'm kind of curious like how they're actually doing this. I'm guessing it's probably custom injected JavaScript into it that's highlighting all those elements that browser use is actually looking for, if I had to guess how they're doing it. But I goosed it. I like it a lot. So far, I'm liking this way it's going here. All right, did it actually save any screenshots? Let's see. Oh, it's still running. Okay. It's trying so hard to comply with our request. I mean, another option is we go through and we, like I said, we superset this and we add new functionality to it, to the browser object here. So we make like a custom browser object, superset it, we add special functionality like saving to disk and whatnot. I just don't know if we actually need that functionality on here. it still running? Dude, why are you running for so long on here? This save screenshots is like really throwing it for a loop. Hang on, let me try something. Let me kill this. I gotta take this out. Let's just try this. Browse to here and describe the page. All right, what time is it? It is 22:37 Central Time. So let's run this again. See if we can get this going. But yeah, I'm going to reach out to these guys and I'm going to ask them like, hey, what were you doing to generate this? Because I love it, and for explaining what the agent was looking at and seeing and thinking about, I think would be amazing. I think this would be really awesome. The Chromium driver is too slow. Yeah. I don't even think it's the Chromium driver in this case, Bandolero. I think what's happening here is the thinking model is trying too hard to comply with the request. And so it's thinking. When you enable thinking mode on a language model, they can get stuck in like weird thought loops. And I'm not saying like, hey, maybe humans do the exact same thing. It's just we're so accustomed to it, we do it faster. You got to think your brain has billions of neurons and trillions of connections between those neurons. It's just absolutely mind-boggling how much is in your mind. And we're trying to approximate that with technology, probably to our own demise. Skynet's going to become a thing eventually. So remember, also, anytime you ask the language model something, please tell it please and thank you. See, that one, without having the screenshot there, it just completed. So let's go look at the trace on it real fast here. 22:37. So we had our initialization call here, right? Which is, and it's funny because it still thinks this one is running. It's dead. It's dead, Jim. But here we go. And so we only make 3 AI calls here, right? But if we look at the very first one that we actually sent to the language model, like I said, we never sent any of this information. This was all built up and prepared for it to send. So we sent it like a special AI output agent message. I got this back. And then the output we got back was an AI agent output. I'm thinking. I'm looking at the current state of the browser and wait to see the page. I've successfully navigated to this as requested by the user. What can I observe? Pages hack it. You know what we should actually probably also do is tell it to open a new tab, because it was already open, right? In the world of the headless browser, that page is already open because that's where I think we last went to. Actually, I skipped one. Let me come up here real quick. Tracing is actually a part of LangChain, but LangGraph is making use of it in the background. And because the language model we passed to it was a LangChain object, right? Because what I'm passing to it is from our configuration file. And in configuration, what we're doing here is we're defining what's the default language model. It's chat anthropic. We expose this configuration object here, and we got the language model right here. So we call language model or config LLM, and that's the language model call that we're passing over to it. And browser use knows how to use LangChain. Yes, the UI part, this is absolutely. So this all right here, this is the actual LangSmith stuff. This is the LangGraph Studio right here. And all this I'm using for free. They have paid versions of it, but the free version for developing HackBot has been just fine. And by the way, the code is all up on the Blaise Bits GitHub. So if you want to take a look at what's up there, it's not very operational, but you can feel free to dig through it. There's a lot of manual setup to it. I haven't set up the auto magical parts yet, but it is up on GitHub. So just it's under the Blaise Bits org. It's on HackBot. That is what the repo is called. Eventually, I'm going to rename it to Stinger AI, but that'll probably be like the initial like beta version release when it can solve at least RootMe. and then we'll start working under that repository instead of HackBot. Yeah, I'm thinking Stinger AI is probably what I'm going to call it, as a little nod to the guys over on Night Team 4, which is a really fun like ARG hacking game. Bobby, were you the one who told me about that? Somebody told me about it, and actually it's really fun. Yeah, Bing is like, oh, I heard you like Copilot. Would you like extra Copilot? It wasn't a request. So the output, it comes back. This is interesting on the output it's bringing back. We look at the raw output. Interesting that it's returning JSON when it didn't supply a tool for it. Oh wait, here we go. That's why. Never mind. It's because this was actually parsing over here to the Pydantic tool parser. That's why I was doing that. There we go. There's the agent output. Yeah, because whenever it actually sent this one, it happened here. So what's happening is I can tell without having read the code, but I can see from the interactions. It is kind of like massaging the context by appending the system a very basic human message for whatever reason here, giving the agent output example, and then a tool call here. And this very last human message is actually what it's modifying. Like, hey, this is the actual state of everything. And letting it come back with the output right here. That's what it's doing. Yeah, Bobby, I need to go pick that game back up sometime. Because it is really fun. I'll see if I can get it. It probably actually would run just fine on my work laptop. That would be a good traveling game. Because I can just imagine somebody on the flight. I got to go to Seattle in a couple weeks. I just imagine somebody watching me like play that on a flight and being like, "What is this guy doing? Oh, good God, he's launched." Because you can do some crazy stuff in the game. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Bandolero, do exclamation point Discord, and it'll send you a link to it. Yeah, hop in there. I try to keep an eye on the messages and just chit chat, share interesting stuff. Tuesday nights, we do hacker news for the week. So if you have like interesting news stories that you want to cover and like get my additional ramblings on, feel free to drop it in there. Let's see. So in this case, what it's sending is, this is the stuff it's actually sending, this human output here. So let's go look at this. It's doing the same thing. So interesting that it's writing a bunch of this stuff over to like this results MD file. So it's kind of like using the file as like on disk caching for it. Very, very interesting. Endurial Industries, what is that? I think I have unsent commits. Or actually, I think I committed just about everything recently we've been doing with this. Browser agent has not been committed yet, but that's fine. I think for... Actually, I gotta see which branch I'm on, because I forgot I had actually switched branches because my boss at work was curious on what I was doing. So here we go, browser usage. Let me switch over to this one. Check out. There we go. It's the Hollywood of DoD Advanced Warfare. Nice. As far as I know, I think they're largely done with Night Team 4. I don't know if they're going to be releasing anything else for it. Even though I really liked it. I haven't messed with the feature where users can go create their own missions and add it. That sounded pretty fun too. Well, let's see here. So I think one of the things we're going to need to do is we are going to have to extend the state table. It's not such a big deal. let's come down here to the stinger state. I don't think we actually need this anymore, but let's go ahead and add that. What we'll do is we will add call it persistent tools, and then we will define that as just a very simple. That's just going to be a dictionary. And what we'll do is we'll map a string to, I'm going to say to any, really. We can map it over to any object that we want. We need to import that. I haven't used that for typing yet, so yeah, we'll import that one. I'm surprised I haven't used that for anything. Let's see. Yeah, because what we'll do is we can put something like browsers in here, and those would be connections to different browser containers, things like that. Let's see what else we want to do. So we need to extend this out. Once we initialize the browser, we'll store it up in the state table. And then let me think what else. I mean, if we really actually wanted to get down to it, we might not even need the agent. Let me look at something real quick here for this browser. Browser session is based off the base model? Oh, okay, this is for Pydantic, yeah. Losing my mind there for a second. Yeah, because they're using Pydantic. It might even be as simple as we go find what options we've got on the session, right? I want to do something. Let's see. I remember how to do that. That's not what I want to do. Python class method. That's what I want. Yeah, there we go. We can use the dir from the class. Although this requires the class method decorator, at least that's what it's saying here. You could also use inspect to find it. Have a good night, Oni. Yeah, we're about to wrap up here in about 10 minutes. Because now I'm thinking, do we use the agent in here to kind of complete these tasks, or do we literally just use the browser session in some cases and then basically hijack some of the browser session functions as tools and have it run those? Osama, no reason to apologize, man. I'm currently trying to get into security, preparing for the Security Plus. Where should I go from there onwards? Got got a background in software engineering. Depends on which area of security you want to go into, Osama, because it's a wide area of technology. Broadly speaking, it breaks down into kind of two classifications. I was thinking three, but really it's two. You've got defensive and offensive security. I specialize in offensive security. I worked in defensive security for a little while. I've got a lot of sysadmin background before that. And then from there, it kind of depends on where, like I said, where you want to go for it. On the blue team side, you've got stuff like policies and procedure side, which is like governance, risk, and compliance. That's more the administrative side. On the other side, on top of that, you've got like security engineering, where you're talking like you're working on, let's say, antivirus and EDR, care and feeding, maybe taking care of the infrastructure for the security team. Another one could be you're working on secure code development. So making sure that, hey, yeah, the team is writing code. My job is to make sure it's actually secure and doesn't have any horrible vulnerabilities that we can detect from the beginning, right? Another one could also be like network security, things like that. So basically any area of infrastructure or software you can think of, there's usually like some kind of security component wrapped around that somewhere. On the offensive side, it's kind of the same thing, just like I said, from the other direction. You're looking at, okay, well, cool, I understand this technology stack. Do I want to do this? So if you're wanting to go into, say, reverse engineering, then I would give you different advice than say, oh, you want to go into maybe exploit development, or you want to work in penetration testing. So so answer me this: what part of security are you wanting to target moving into? And don't feel bad about asking questions. Everybody in the chat will tell you I have zero problems like derailing what I'm working on to go answer questions. You're the dude. I don't know why they're using this weird decorator. I want to try this real quick though. I'm just curious about something real quick. This won't be my class. This would be... That's not it. Another session. Let's see if this will work. So we're gonna throw an error, but here's no. Actually, we have a ton here. Switch tab 2. Yeah, we have a lot of methods we can work with. That's what I'm thinking, Bobby. Because then, if we basically go through and we do a little bit of wrapping around this, we might just be able to use these options and let the agent kind of figure out its own method of handling these interactions with the browser. The browser agent may have its uses also. What is this? Show DVD screensaver loading animation. What is that? Starting with bone management might be a good way to get exposure to different areas of security. It can. I'll tell you this though, for some reason, this is a little bit more prevalent in the offensive security side than I think in other areas. And that is, you can experience what's called siloing, pigeonholing. And that is, oh, okay, well, no, you have experience in this. We want to leave you in that. So usually what happens, let me bring this up. Let's say, for example, this is actually a real example that happened to a buddy of mine. So what happened here is he was on our offensive security team, right? So we were pen testers. But he really got stuck into an area that was kind of like vuln management. And that wasn't what he wanted to do. This is where he was. Where he wanted to be was over here in like internal red teaming. So what happened is, because he was kind of stuck over here in this area, he was never given work assignments to kind of break into this and to break into internal red teaming. So a lot of times what you'll have to do is, usually like if you leave a job, you take it because you're wanting to take a step up somewhere else. In offensive security, it's not uncommon to take a pure lateral move to go into a different vertical of it. So you've basically got like these various silos here. And there's different areas of security, and they all just kind of sit under like the security umbrella, right? So it's not uncommon that you will not move up over into a different silo. You are either going to move laterally, or you might even move down to move into the silo that you really want. However, the good thing is there's information in these silos that play into others. They're not strictly segregated. They're segregated by work type, but not by information. The information overlap is huge in these areas here. We have to have a DVD screensaver animation now, non-negotiable. I will put it on the to-do list. Yeah, no worries, Tom. Dude, if you got questions, feel free to ask. If I know, I will tell you, and if I don't know, I will tell you. If I don't know, chances are I know where you can go find out, though. One thing I also encourage folks is that you can always use security as an enhancement to your career. You don't necessarily need to go work in security and information technology, because that can have its own special challenges to it. One thing I tell folks is that having security knowledge can make you better at your current role. So it might just be that, yeah, you're the guy on the team that does software engineering but specializes in security and secure code development and secure deployment operations, things like that. Yeah, in fact, the friend that got stuck over here in vuln management, the way he busted over an internal red teaming is he literally started his own company. He left and started doing his own thing. So that was actually kind of a downgrade in the beginning because he had to go work on building up his clientele and other stuff. Super, super smart guy. I get excited about every time he tells me about the cool stuff he's working on. This is very interesting. Let me go look at something. See if I can find this real fast. No, that was not what I wanted to do. Close the current tab that the agent is currently using. Not necessarily a tab that is visible to the user, which is the human current agent. So if they're the same tab, both references will be updated. I think that probably will be what we examine tomorrow night is, can we just hijack the functions that are available on this class tomorrow? They're all set as asynchronous options here. Oh yeah, dude, he's absolutely killing it. He sent me a picture of his Nissan GTR that he bought, and I was like, and he bought it on a salvage title. I was like, bro, are you sure you want to do that? He's like, well, I already did. I was like, well, might as well full send on it then. You've already done it. Let's see. How would we do that? I'm trying to think about this. Typically what we do is we would go add a decorator onto this. I feel like there's a more elegant way to accomplish this. This seems like it would be the brute force approach where we'd be like, hey, this is like if we could not get anything else figured out. I feel like there's a better way we can accomplish this. I have a drift ready G35. Nice. I'm married with children. So all my fun money is gone. And then also, Sock just recently left her job to stay home full time and take care of the kiddos. So definitely, all expendable income just went. Let's see. I'm thinking actually, Bobby, probably what we'll start with tomorrow night is we will set up the agent here. We'll define the agent as a tool. And what we'll do is we'll say we need to build a task or a task list. We'll have a browser. That tool will return that browser session. We'll keep the browser session in the state table here. Right? Yeah. We'll keep that state table over here in the tools. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And then if we need to use that session again, we'll keep track of the session. Maybe over here we might go extend the host here. So that way the host has an extra browser session to it. Yeah, I think that's probably how we'll do that. Because it makes it a little bit too dependent on that. And the idea is that the framework should have some flexibility to it where people can come swap in components and it not be a nightmare. Yeah. All right. But I think we're kind of at the end of the night, so let's go find someone to raid out to. On the off chance, nope, nobody's on InfoSec streams. Ripperoni. This is so cool, though. I really want to see this. I do not stream daily, Usama. I used to, but then I had a lot of life events change. So now I currently stream. I'll stream tonight. I'll stream tomorrow night. And then I'll also stream on Tuesday nights. Marinus, thank you for coming online. Yeah, so I'll stream, and the stream schedule's up on the site. You'll be able to see it. And so, but basically Saturdays and Sundays, we're doing projects like this. And then Tuesday nights, Central Time, I'm not sure which time zone you're in, we're doing hacker news for the week. So going over, checking out interesting news articles, keeping situational awareness around InfoSec news. That's pretty much what we're doing. I always fall asleep during streams. This was a good one. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I do have the gift of gab. My mom is hilarious. She likes to tell a story where before she met my dad, she was on a date with a guy and he said, "You sure are a talker." And he didn't really mean it as a compliment. And yeah, that's exactly, he meant it exactly how it sounded. Let's go see who's over in software and game dev right now. Let's see what they're working on. Oh, you know what? We're in science and tech tonight. I forgot about that. Actually, I usually would be stringing software and game dev, but I forgot to change the channel, so it's totally fine though. Let's see. Sid's on doing some hardware stuff. We got some flat earthers. Let's not. So let's go see who's over in software and game dev, because I totally forgot to change the channel on it. Let's change that real quick. Let's go see who is on. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid is rigid and brittle code. I'd like it to have some room for expansion without having to like completely bash my brains in every time. Let's see here. Not what I want. There we go. Let's see. Quickly's over there doing some leak code. Some art drawings. By the way, if anybody has a raid suggestion, please feel free to shout them out, because I will always take suggestions. Oh, that's interesting. I'll tell you what, let's go see who else we can write out to real fast. What did Cash up to tonight? Doing some Unreal dev. Yeah, we'll go right over to Johnny Cash. He's doing some fun stuff over in Unreal. I think that's where we'll wrap it up tonight. Unfortunately, nobody's on InfoSec streams this late. Usually it's only me, but that's how it breaks. Okay. So let me go and set up the raid. Everyone, y'all have a fantastic night and hope you have a great Sunday tomorrow or Monday, depending on which time zone you're in. Yeah, he's a funny dude. I like him. So, but that's all I got for you tonight. Tomorrow, we'll actually work on getting the browser agent up and running in the exploitation agent. We'll see if we can integrate it into the graph loop in a logical way. And we'll see if we can crush the CTF some more. But that's all I got for you tonight, guys. I want you to remember the most important thing, which is you're awesome. Second most important thing is that I love you. Peace.